Here we are back with the eMac again, and as you can see I have an OS X installation pulled up. You may recognize what version it is by the styling of the buttons and everything. So, I've been using Leopard on the eMac for a while. I've edited and rendered a few videos with Leopard, and I'm not entirely satisfied with it on this machine, and I'm going to tell you why. Leopard on this processor seems quite slow, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that the processors they put in these eMacs were slightly crippled. They had less cache than some of the other processors they used in other machines. This one has a 1.42 gigahertz G4 with 512K of processor cache rather than the typical 1 megabyte, and that's what bogs it, or not bogs it down, but cripples the processor slightly. So Leopard just seemed sort of slow on there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reinstall the operating system that was actually on this when I got it, which is OS 10.4 Tiger. So we'll go ahead here and continue with this process. So I'm going to go into disk utility and actually mess with this thing. Repartition this thing. There it goes. Partition map is created. And we shall continue installing Mac OS X. Now, Tiger's installer is a little bit, primitive looking, but this was a time when Mac OS X was in its somewhat primitive days. I mean, it hadn't changed much from Puma, which was Mac OS 10.1. Then you have Jaguar, which is 10.2, and Panther, 10.3, and Tiger, 10.4. So it kind of carries its roots from the older versions. Now, a good way to slim down Mac OS X is to not install things that you don't need. For example, right here, this computer is not going to be used for printing anything, so no printer drivers. I'm not going to be changing this to German or anything anytime soon, so bye-bye language translations and bye-bye additional fonts. I do, however, want X11 for certain applications. So we'll go ahead and install it that way. And that'll be a nice, somewhat slim install of Tiger. You can just watch the progress bar go by there. Base system. There you go. Now, as far as versions of OS X go, versions that work on particular Macs. Tiger tends to work on the CRT-based Macs the best, like the iMac G3 and the iMac G3, iMac G4, and eMac, such as this one. And the reason these work better is because Tiger, Panther, Jaguar, they're all a whole lot lighter than Leopard was. Leopard was kind of a big leap as far as the heaviness and inclusion of things in the operating system goes. Leopard was a pretty big operating system. It required a dual-layer DVD. And whereas this could be burned onto a standard DVD and installed. Presuming that you've made a backup image of the one that you purchased years ago. Now the reason I'm going back to this is because it's a lot faster on this processor. The best type of computer to run Leopard on is a computer that preferably has more than one processor in it as far as PowerPC goes. For Intel, you shouldn't have to worry because those were dual-core when they came out with them anyway. Except for some of the Core Solo iMac or Mac Mini models, I think. But the Intel Macs run Leopard beautifully. However, the PowerPC ones, you have to be picky with it. The G5s, G4s seem to run it the best. However, specific kinds of them. The Leopard seems to do the best with dual processor setups, such as the PowerMac G4 MDD or the PowerMac G5 dual or quad. Something like this eMac, it's a single core processor that has less cache than a normal version of this processor would in the first place. So you want to put something lightweight on here, and I think Tiger is going to do the best job of that. And Tiger goes back to very basic roots, like I said before. It's a kind of a primitive operating system, but in a way that's a good thing because it's a lot lighter. It can handle hardware that's not the, not the greatest, or not. It's still good hardware. It's just not, the most optimal that it could be for something like this. The cache being 512K instead of 1 megabyte. Something like this is a perfect candidate for Panther or Tiger. Now this one came with Tiger originally, so I'm going to put Tiger back on it. Yeah. When all is said and done, this eMac I should be able to use to edit this video and upload it to YouTube. It's a good machine. It's a really good machine, and I really like it. So I'm going to put the operating system that I think is the most optimal for this machine on there. Now I've done the same thing for my MacBook Pro. I've put Snow Leopard back on there, which is macOS 10.6. That I feel is the best operating system for that machine. I had it running Leopard as well originally, but as you can see, And this, as you can see right there on the screen, BSD subsystem. These versions of macOS 10 really bring back what its roots were, BSD. This really brings back the Mac operating system's roots, which is BSD. BSD is one hell of a stable operating system, and that's why macOS 10 is just has such good performance. It's BSD based. I mean, you just don't see this anymore. On the newer versions, it's catered more towards install and work, and Leopard was kind of a turning point for Apple, whereas this was still sort of in the primitive stages of figuring out what they wanted to do with OS X. I mean, it worked really well, and I loved it back at this time. Tiger is still my favorite version of macOS X. But, it wasn't perfect, by all means, but it's a great operating system. So I will get Tiger installed on here and show you the desktop once it's done. The computer has just restarted, as you can hear. So we're going to watch the intro movie from an angle. So this will look really stupid, but hell, why not? Look at that. That disappeared after Tiger, this little startup bar. And there you have it. The typical startup of OS X Tiger. So, let's set this up, shall we? I live in the untied states of America. I'm not going to transfer anything. United States. Come on, come on. There we go. And here we are. Thank you, your Mac is set up so you can find anything instantly, organize messages using smart mailboxes, access handy widgets, video conference with your colleagues, get up-to-the-minute RSS news feeds, enjoy using your Apple computer, and macOS 10. So we'll hit go, and we should be at a desktop. There we have it. We're at a desktop. I'm going to check my Tiger disk now. Get this out of here. And of course the first thing you want to do is, if you have a copy of it, install iLife. So I'm going to install my copy of iLife 06 here. Before I do that, I'm going to configure this the way I like it. Turn on right click on the mouse. Actually, right click's already enabled. Sweet. I can't really configure my mouse that well, but it might need to be updated first. Before I install iLife 06, I'm going to ignore software update because it's getting in my way. Go to the desktop and of course change that to something that's a little bit nicer than this. Let's go to nature. What do we have here? Let's pick the rocks, because rocks are stones actually in this version. Screensaver on 15 minutes and change that. Well, I'll leave that on flurry actually, because flurry does look pretty cool. Energy saver. Put the computer to sleep when it's been idle for 3 hours and turn the screen off after a half an hour. I think that's good enough. That'll save the CRT some juice. Of course, go in here and change the computer's host name. That's how you do it, by the way. You go into sharing. Let's go down to date and time and select the right time zone, which is not Cupertino, Apple. Thank you. It's Philadelphia. Since I live in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia is quite adequate for where I am. And again, it thinks it's 4:11 now, which is correct. Okay. So the next thing we got to do is move the dock over. I prefer my dock on the left side, like that. And I prefer magnification to be on and right around the middle, so it'll do that. And there you have it. That's all that should have to be done right now, so I'll install iLife 06 here. Or not. So before you do anything else, you might want to update your version of OS X, because you'll get something like this. Beautiful. So you might want to update your version of Tiger if you want to install iLife 06. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to update Tiger on this thing. And yeah, we'll just quit that, shall we? Go right into the Apple menu, go to software update. Check for some software there. And there's going to be some updates, I guarantee you. There's going to be huge updates, because this is 10.4.0 that I installed on here. There you have it. Come on. Takes quite a while, for some reason. There we go. It has updates for Java, the OS X itself, up to 10.4.11, which is just an odd version number for OS X. There's also an update to the DVD player. Lol, the DVD player. So we'll install those. Of course, it asks you for your password. Agree, sign your life away. Install. There you go. And of course, now it'll sit there and install your updates. So we'll let that update and then we'll install iLife 06. Well, now we've updated OS X to 10.4.11 and now we'll install iLife 06. Since it has many updates itself. There you go. I still use iLife 06 on newer Macintosh computers because it's simply a better version of iLife. Oh, shut up. A better version of iLife than 08 was. I'm not a particularly huge fan of the newer the interfaces of the newer iMovie. iMovie 06 is still my favorite. There you go. iMovie HD is iMovie 06. So I will let that install, and once I update it and everything, I'll show you what I put in the dock. So here we have the background. My background rocks, man! So we have everything installed in here. So let's show you what exactly I have on here. Of course, we have the Finder, the dashboard. I have Camino, the G4 optimized version. I have iTunes 6. Wow, that's old. iMovie HD. 2 separate versions of Audacity, both the stable and the beta. Activity Monitor, which is top or HTOP pretty much. Disk Utility, and the terminal. Gotta love that terminal. So this is what's in here. I'll use the Camino browser. It's an actual up-to-date browser. That's a new version I stuck in Tiger, which is rather unbelievable if you ask me. So I can open that up and upload YouTube videos with it, no problem. Not that Flash will work, but JavaScript will. So it'll be good enough for uploading videos, because I can at least, you know, get onto YouTube there and upload the videos. Everything looks good on here. The only thing that doesn't look good, that doesn't really work, is Flash, but I don't really care, because you don't really need Flash to upload YouTube videos. But there you have it. That's just a little update to the eMac, and why I think Tiger works better on single-core PowerPC machines than Leopard does. Even though you can run Leopard if you really want to and really need the software support. So, yeah, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and have a good one, everybody. Ciao.